Most people think a coin must be perfect to be valuable, but what if I told you some bad condition Morgan silver dollars are worth millions of dollars? In this video, I'll reveal 4 rare state minted Morgan dollars that look worn, damaged, or ordinary, but could change your life forever. Stay till the end, because one of these coins is still hiding in collections today. First up, the 1892 Morgan silver dollar in bad condition is a deeply significant artifact of American monetary history that continues to attract collectors, historians, and silver enthusiasts despite heavy wear, damage, discoloration, smoothing, rim loss, or other signs of extreme circulation, because this coin represents a time when silver money was at the heart of national economic policy, political controversy, and everyday life, and the year 1892 stands as a mature phase of the Morgan dollar series when millions of these coins had already been produced and distributed under federal mandates rather than public demand, resulting in many examples being used extensively in commerce while others were stored in government vaults, released later, or lost to melting, making worn survivors an honest reflection of how Americans actually interacted with money in the late 19th century, struck from a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper and weighing 26.73 grams with a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. The 1892 Morgan silver dollar contains 0.77344 troy ounces of pure silver, ensuring that even in the worst condition it retains intrinsic bullion value tied to the global silver market, which gives it a permanent baseline worth regardless of numismatic grade. The coin was designed by George T. Morgan, whose portrait of liberty was revolutionary for its time because it was modeled after a real American woman rather than an idealized classical figure, symbolizing a shift toward a distinctly American artistic identity. Though in bad condition examples, Liberty's facial features are typically flattened from decades of circulation. Her hair details are worn smooth. The cotton bolls and wheat ears that symbolize unity between agricultural regions are often barely visible, and the word Liberty on the headband may be faint or partially missing, yet the overall outline remains recognizable, allowing the coin's identity and date to survive even after more than a century of wear. The reverse of the coin features the powerful bald eagle with wings outstretched, clutching arrows to represent strength and readiness to defend the nation, and an olive branch to represent peace, encircled by a wreath and inscriptions that proclaim the authority of the United States. But in low-grade coins the eagle's breast is completely flat, the feathers have merged into smooth metal, the wreath has lost definition, and the rims may blend into the lettering, leaving only bold inscriptions such as $1 and United States of America clearly legible, which is typical of coins graded poor-1, FAIR2, about GOOD3, or GOOD4. The 1892 Morgan silver dollar was struck at 4 mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, New Orleans with an O mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark, and Carson City with the famous CC mint mark. And even in bad condition the mint mark can greatly influence desirability and value, especially Carson City issues, which are prized for their association with the American West, frontier mining culture, and relatively low mintages, making even heavily worn examples collectible and historically valuable. During the time of its circulation, the 1892 Morgan dollar would have passed through countless hands in saloons, general stores, banks, railroads, mining camps, and industrial centers, often carried loose in pockets or stored in cloth bags, which explains the extensive wear seen on most surviving examples, and this wear tells a story of real economic use rather than preservation for collectors, giving bad condition coins a certain authenticity and narrative power that pristine examples cannot replicate. The broader historical context of the 1892 Morgan silver dollar further enhances its importance, as it was minted just before the Panic of 1893, one of the most severe economic depressions in U.S. history, which led to widespread unemployment, bank failures, and the eventual repeal of silver purchase legislation, meaning that many of these coins were directly connected to a turbulent era of financial instability and political debate over the gold versus silver standard. From a collecting standpoint, bad condition 1892 Morgan dollars are often sought by beginners and budget-conscious collectors as affordable entry points into the series, while advanced collectors may acquire them as placeholders or as examples of circulated history, and silver stackers appreciate them as recognizable, government-issued silver with added historical interest beyond generic bullion. Although such coins will never command the high premiums associated with mint state examples, their enduring appeal lies in their survival, their silver content, and their role as tangible witnesses to American economic, social, and political history, proving that even when worn nearly smooth, the 1892 Morgan silver dollar remains a powerful symbol of the United States silver era, the artistry of George T. Morgan, and the everyday lives of the people who used these coins more than a century ago. Next up, the 1884 Morgan silver dollar in bad condition is a fascinating and historically rich survivor from one of the most prolific yet misunderstood periods of United States coinage, and even when this coin appears heavily worn, scratched, darkened, bent, cleaned, or nearly smooth from decades of circulation, it remains an important piece of American monetary history because it was produced during a time when silver dollars were being struck in enormous quantities due to federal legislation rather than actual commercial demand, meaning that many 1884 Morgan dollars were stored in treasury vaults for years while others circulated hard in the American West, mining towns, railroad camps, saloons, banks, and frontier marketplaces, leading to the wide range of conditions seen today, with bad condition examples telling a particularly honest story of real-world use. Composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 26.73 grams and measuring 38.1 millimeters in diameter, the 1884 Morgan silver dollar contains 0.77344 troy ounces of pure silver, ensuring that even the most worn specimen retains intrinsic bullion value tied directly to silver prices, which gives it a permanent baseline worth despite heavy wear or damage. The coin was designed by George T. Morgan, whose bold and realistic portrayal of liberty marked a departure from earlier classical designs, presenting an Americanized female figure wearing a Phrygian cap adorned with wheat and cotton to symbolize national unity. Though on bad condition 1884 examples, Liberty's hair strands are usually completely flattened, her cheek and jaw are smooth, the cotton and wheat details are faint or invisible, and the word Liberty on the headband may be weak or partially missing, yet the date 1884 often remains readable, allowing collectors to identify the coin even when most artistic detail has been lost. The reverse features the iconic bald eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and an olive branch, representing strength and peace, encircled by a wreath and inscriptions proclaiming the authority of the United States, but in heavily worn examples the eagle's breast is flat, feather detail is gone, the wreath merges into the field, rims blend into lettering, and the coin may show deep circulation marks, rim nicks, corrosion, or evidence of harsh cleaning, all of which are typical of coins that saw decades of everyday use. The 1884 Morgan silver dollar was struck at 4 mint locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, New Orleans with an O mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark, and Carson City with the famous CC mint mark. And while Philadelphia and New Orleans coins are relatively common in all grades, Carson City examples carry a strong premium even in bad condition due to their lower mintages and romantic association with the Old West, frontier silver mining, and limited production capacity, making an 1884 CC Morgan dollar desirable to collectors regardless of wear. While San Francisco coins are often well struck but scarcer in heavily worn condition because many were stored rather than circulated, coins in bad condition typically grade poor-1, FAIR2, about GOOD3, or GOOD4, meaning that the rims may be partially gone, devices are outlined but flat, surfaces are smooth from wear, and eye appeal is minimal, yet such coins are still valued for authenticity, silver content, and historical significance. Historically, the year 1884 falls within a period of economic tension and debate over silver policy in the United States, as silver mining interests pushed for continued government purchases while advocates of the gold standard argued for monetary stability, and these political battles directly influenced the production of Morgan dollars, including the 1884 issues, many of which sat unused in government vaults until the early 20th century or were later released during events like the Pittman Act melts and subsequent reissues, making surviving circulated examples tangible links to these complex economic policies. From a collecting perspective, bad condition 1884 Morgan silver dollars are often appreciated by beginners as affordable entry points into the series, by advanced collectors as placeholders or type examples, and by silver investors as recognizable, historic bullion coins, and although they do not command the high premiums of mint state coins, their appeal lies in their survival through more than a century of circulation, storage, melting threats, and neglect, embodying the story of American commerce, Western expansion, and the silver era in a way that pristine examples cannot, ultimately proving that even in bad condition the 1884 Morgan silver dollar remains a powerful symbol of United States history, the artistry of George T. Morgan, and the enduring legacy of one of the most famous and collected coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. Next up, the 1881 Morgan silver dollar in bad condition is an excellent example of how a heavily worn, damaged, or well-circulated coin can still carry tremendous historical, cultural, and intrinsic value, because this particular year sits squarely in the heart of the Morgan dollar era when silver coinage was being produced in massive quantities under federal mandate, circulated widely in the American West, and stored in government vaults in the East, creating a fascinating contrast between pristine survivors and coins that clearly show decades of real-world use. Even when an 1881 Morgan dollar appears scratched, darkly toned, cleaned, bent, rim damaged, or nearly smooth, it remains a genuine artifact from a period when the United States was still defining its monetary system, expanding westward, and debating the role of silver versus gold in national policy, making every worn example a silent witness to American economic history, struck in a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 26.73 grams with a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. The 1881 Morgan silver dollar contains 0.77344 troy ounces of pure silver, which means that even in the worst condition it retains intrinsic bullion value tied to the silver market, giving it a baseline worth that never falls to zero and making it attractive not only to collectors but also to silver investors who value recognizable government-issued silver. The design was created by George T. Morgan, whose portrait of liberty was revolutionary for its time because it was modeled after a real American woman, symbolizing national identity and progress. Although in bad condition examples Liberty's hair strands are usually completely worn flat, her cheek and jaw show heavy smoothing, the cotton bolls and wheat ears that represent unity between agricultural regions are faint or invisible, and the word Liberty on the headband may be partially missing or weak, yet the overall outline of Liberty's profile remains recognizable, preserving the coin's identity despite extensive wear. The reverse design features the iconic American bald eagle with wings outstretched, clutching arrows in one talon to symbolize strength and readiness for defense and an olive branch in the other to symbolize peace, surrounded by a wreath and bold inscriptions, but on heavily circulated 1881 Morgan dollars the eagle's breast is typically flat, feather detail is completely gone, the wreath merges into the background, and the rims often blend into the lettering, especially on coins graded poor-1, FAIR2, about GOOD3, or GOOD4, which are the grades most commonly associated with bad condition examples. The 1881 Morgan silver dollar was produced at 4 mint locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, New Orleans with an O mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark, and Carson City with the highly sought-after CC mint mark. And while Philadelphia and San Francisco issues are relatively common overall, Carson City coins remain especially desirable even in bad condition due to their lower mintages, frontier origin, and strong collector demand, making an 1881 CC Morgan dollar valuable regardless of where. While New Orleans coins are often found in circulated grades due to heavy regional use, historically, the year 1881 falls within a period of intense silver production driven by the Bland-Allison Act, during which the U.S. Treasury was required to purchase millions of dollars worth of silver annually, resulting in the mass production of Morgan dollars that far exceeded public demand, leading to large stockpiles in Treasury vaults while other coins circulated extensively in the West, explaining why some 1881 coins survive in mint state while others are extremely worn. Bad condition examples are particularly important to historians because they show clear evidence of circulation in everyday transactions such as paying wages, purchasing supplies, gambling, banking, and trade in mining camps, railroad towns, and frontier markets, giving these coins a level of authenticity and narrative depth that untouched specimens cannot match. From a numismatic perspective, worn 1881 Morgan silver dollars are often used by beginner collectors as affordable entry points into the series, by advanced collectors as placeholders for rarer dates or mint marks, and by educators as teaching tools for grading and historical study. While silver stackers appreciate them as tangible, government-issued silver with added historical interest beyond generic bullion rounds. Although an 1881 Morgan dollar in bad condition will never reach the high auction prices of rare dates or pristine examples, its enduring appeal lies in its survival through more than a century of circulation, storage, melting threats, and neglect, its guaranteed silver content, and its connection to a transformative era in American history, ultimately proving that even when heavily worn and visually unimpressive, the 1881 Morgan silver dollar remains a powerful symbol of the United States silver era, the artistry of George T. Morgan, and the everyday lives of the people who used these coins during America's rapid growth and industrial expansion. Next up, the 1882 Morgan silver dollar in bad condition is a remarkable historical artifact that demonstrates how a coin does not need to be beautiful or well preserved to be important, valuable, or deeply meaningful, because this particular year sits at the height of Morgan dollar production when the United States government was striking massive quantities of silver dollars under federal law, distributing some into active circulation while storing millions more in Treasury vaults, and as a result many 1882 Morgan dollars that did circulate were handled constantly in everyday commerce across the expanding nation, especially in the American West, leading to the heavily worn, scratched, darkened, cleaned, rim damaged, or nearly smooth examples seen today, which serve as authentic evidence of how money was actually used in the late 19th century, composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 26.73 grams with a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. The 1882 Morgan silver dollar contains 0.77344 troy ounces of pure silver, ensuring that even the most worn specimen retains intrinsic bullion value linked directly to the silver market, making it attractive not only to collectors but also to silver investors who appreciate government-issued silver with historical significance. The design was created by George T. Morgan, whose realistic depiction of liberty marked a major artistic shift in U.S. coinage by presenting an American woman rather than an abstract classical figure, symbolizing national identity and progress. Although in bad condition examples Liberty's hair details are typically flattened, her cheek and jaw are smooth from decades of handling, the cotton bolls and wheat ears in her hair that represent unity between agricultural regions are faint or completely gone, and the word liberty on the headband may be weak or partially missing, yet the outline of Liberty's profile and the date 1882 usually remain visible, allowing identification even after extreme wear. The reverse of the coin features the powerful bald eagle with wings outstretched, clutching arrows to represent strength and readiness to defend the nation, and an olive branch to represent peace, surrounded by a wreath and bold inscriptions. But on heavily circulated 1882 Morgan dollars, the eagle's breast is completely flat, feather details are gone, the wreath blends into the background, and the rims often merge with the lettering, which is typical of coins graded poor-1, FAIR2, about GOOD3, or GOOD4, the grades most commonly associated with bad condition examples. The 1882 Morgan silver dollar was struck at 4 mint locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, New Orleans with an O mint mark, San Francisco with an S mint mark, and Carson City with the famous CC mint mark. And while Philadelphia and New Orleans issues are abundant in circulated condition, Carson City examples are especially prized even when heavily worn due to their lower mintages, frontier origins, and strong collector demand, making an 1882 CC Morgan dollar desirable regardless of condition. While San Francisco coins are often known for strong strikes but can still appear in bad condition if they circulated extensively. Historically, the year 1882 falls within a period of intense political and economic debate over the role of silver in the U.S. monetary system, driven by legislation such as the Bland-Allison Act, which forced the Treasury to purchase large amounts of silver each year, resulting in the overproduction of Morgan dollars relative to public demand, leading to large hordes of coins that sat unused while others circulated heavily. And this contrast explains why some 1882 Morgan dollars survive in mint state while others are extremely worn. Bad condition examples are particularly valuable from a storytelling perspective because they show clear evidence of having been used in everyday transactions such as paying wages, purchasing supplies, gambling, banking, and trade in mining camps, railroad towns, and frontier markets, providing a tangible connection to the daily lives of ordinary Americans during a period of rapid westward expansion and industrial growth. From a numismatic standpoint, worn 1882 Morgan silver dollars are often collected by beginners as affordable entry points into the series, by advanced collectors as placeholders for higher-grade examples, and by educators as tools for teaching coin grading and history, while silver stackers appreciate them as tangible, historic bullion. And although such coins do not command the high premiums of rare dates or mint state examples, their enduring appeal lies in their survival, their silver content, and their role as witnesses to American economic policy, political struggle, and everyday commerce, ultimately proving that even in bad condition the 1882 Morgan silver dollar remains a powerful symbol of the United States silver era, the artistry of George T. Morgan, and the lived experience of a nation in transition. Please like and subscribe to my channel.